So I thought that'd work out a lot better than it did. And what I did is I used Crispers sort of as nachos, and I put some hummus on them. So, and then I put on top of the hummus, I put half a cherry tomato or grape tomato, however you want to look at it. And then I put some cheese. Only I put too much cheese, apparently.
Never can put too much cheese. What you're saying is it doesn't look as
well, they're
fancy
not
as
hors
you were
d'oeuvres anymore, no. And so I'd hoped James would be able to just eat them like little hors d'oeuvres. So I melted the cheese, I put them on the grill. I set them all up on the grill and on low heat in the electric grill. And when I looked at it, 1 minute it was fine, and then the next minute, sploosh all over the place, and I was, oh. So I got them up with the spatula, and now James will be eating them, I suppose, mixed with his salad. I don't know, because I don't know.
I'm going to be eating them with a fork.
I don't think it'll work like little nacho hors d'oeuvres.
I wouldn't be able to touch this thing afterwards if I ate them with my hands.
Yeah. So anyway, I got these Crispers from Shoppers on clearance for $1.29
a piece, right?
A bag.
And, a bag, not a piece.
And the hummus containers for 99 cents. So.
Well, that's awesome.
That's why I made
the hummus.
That
I think is pretty healthy. The Crispers, they're just going to be for entertainment. But sometimes, when you're eating, you gotta have entertainment.
Well, I was thinking they'd be sort of like little mini hamburgers because they're barbecue flavor, and then with the cheese and the tomato. But
there are a lot of ingredients in it, right?
Yeah.
So
there's per person.
Yeah. There'll be some. The tomatoes will be great, healthy. The cheese is going to be not bad. And then we've got the lettuce. You're saying you got the lettuce at a really good bargain price.
Yes, $1 a head, which I haven't seen those kind of prices for 20 years or something. So that was awesome. Anyway, so James is going to talk about the Velvet Underground, and this is the second disc in this thing, and James was also reading the booklet, so he might talk about that.
Yeah, I finished up the booklet, except for it's not acknowledged, but thanks to whomever. I read the acknowledgement. I read most of the thanks to whoever, but I kind of got bored.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. It looks like somebody was digging through one of my plant pots. I've noticed that Elvis goes up there.
Yeah, he does.
So I thought, well, maybe he saw a dog and he started kicking around and soil went everywhere.
That would be it. I was trying to figure it out, but some of the stuff.
But it got on the table. It got
up on the table,
everywhere.
So that's not an appetizing prospect. It looks to be nice soil, but.
An ant is pulling something along.
Yeah. I saw
quite
one
big.
the other day. I presume it's a corpse.
No, I don't know what it is, honestly.
Try not to flick this in your direction. Well, I
he's really working at it. Yeah, I've been watching a nature video. And
holy
I saw
smokes,
some
there's
very
a lot
cool
of
ants on there.
I know,
but
there's a lot of death and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have to give up watching.
Yes, James got sad. We'll talk about that another day, though. James is going to talk about Velvet Underground. That's it.
So I watched there were lots of interviews on the main disc. This was just the second disc, which was extensive interviews with, 3 interviews with a guy called Richmond. Never heard of him before, I don't think. Mary, how are they pronouncing it? Voronov? It'd be Voronov. I think it means raven. Did you see that woman that kind of had a thin face? She's, by conventional standards, quite good looking, even nowadays, well preserved. I don't know how that happened. But, because I think she'd be even older than me. And the interview was about 6 years ago. Yeah, it's pulling along something. It's over on this side. It's really hammering.
Yes, it's really working. I know. That thing's huge. I don't know how it's pulling it, but ants, they're amazing.
Well, they say there's one superhero, maybe the Marvel universe, that has the proportional strength of an ant. And you sort of laugh at that until you actually see an ant at work. Well, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, will you take a bite and let me know how that tastes?
Well, I was going to right away, But then I thought, oh, it's going to be kind of hot. So I'm not talking about spicy hot, but I can't handle either types of hot, spicy hot, or temperature. Don't let the looks deceive you. It's very tasty.
All right, so maybe
Right,
I'll
that's
try
all
it
that
again
matters.
with less cheese.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe more cheese. I love cheese. So.
Or just try it on, if I make it like in the oven on a baking sheet when in the wintertime, that would work, I bet, better than on the grill. The grill did not.
Oh, well, grills, they're not that sophisticated, right?
I sure made a
hard
mess
to-
of it.
I'm liking, it looks kind of
Way
like
too much cheese. I don't know what I was thinking.
a good omelette. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
I like omelette. Omelette with cheese on it. Pretty well the best type. Throw in some
Yeah.
um,
Yep. I pretty
veggies.
much lived on those when I was a teenager.
Well,
That's what I ate.
if it has enough veggies in
Well, when I ate. You know teenagers.
it's tough.
Yeah. Well, I don't know teenage boys. They do that.
It's tough for teenage boys.
Yeah.
The big trouble is they make it tough for other teenagers. Whereas girls, teenage
Yeah.
girls, make it extra tough on themselves.
Yeah, usually. But I don't know how it is now. I mean, you see so many young women that are really aggressive.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
I
Like,
can't imagine they
if
would
you're-
have went through the
if
same
you're
sort
one
of
of
things
the-
as teenagers.
If you're one of those aggressive women types, overweight or whatever, don't put tattoos. Just because you got extra surface area, don't put even more aggressive tattoos. Just cut that nonsense out. Anyway, it's truth in advertising.
People do what they do. It's
They do what they
whatever,
do, but if you're
so-
aggressive, don't go advertising aggressive.
I don't
People
know.
eventually-
Does tattoo really advertise aggressive? Because I
Many do.
have a tattoo.
But
Almost
you have
everybody
one.
in my generation has a tattoo
But
in this society.
one guy that surprised me is I saw him in the walk. He passed us. It was tight passing.
Oh, the one with a lot of tattoos
Yeah.
on his legs. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But he was actually from away.
Oh,
He
really?
was from,
And he was very
Cape Breton.
friendly.
he turned out to be a nice
Yes.
guy. He looked dangerous going by. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a good thing.
He was telling
You know,
me.
maybe more passive people should do that.
He was telling
really
me he went
aggressive
up on
looking tattoos.
Acamina Ridge, and I believe it was October.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with his wife.
Yeah.
That's even more. And they went up when it was raining.
Oh my gosh. Why?
Then it started snowing.
Oh, terrible.
And they probably would be dead now, but they ran across 3 guys with a GPS system, and they followed the guys. That's how they got through. He said his wife was crying,
Oh,
shaking,
poor
and all
her.
that sort of
Well,
stuff.
yeah. When I went up Acamina, my knees were shaking.
Your voice was shaking.
My voice
too.
was shaking.
Oh. Yeah, I'd
Um,
prefer if you'd never do that again.
But yeah,
because
there's
it's
just the
scary
first
kind of
part.
work.
You get up there,
Yeah.
and you have to remember where Wall Lake is. So you look, oh, there it is, and then you know where to go.
Yeah.
But I guess there's some people, they go off in the other direction, and
There's a viewpoint.
they say,
there
well,
of-
there's a viewpoint over there, and so I can see how people might get lost going off in the other direction and then coming back and going, oh, where am I? But just keep track of where's Wall Lake. That's how you do it. And then you don't get as scared. But honestly, just that the only scary part is that first part where you're having
It's
to do
scramble.
a scramble.
They call
to
it
get-
an easy scramble in the scramble book that I've got.
To get
But for many people, it would be a real big challenge. It
Well-
was too much of a challenge for me.
It's easy enough, whatever, but if you fall, that's a long fall behind you.
Well, it says on the guy says
Yeah.
in the scramble book, and it's on my map of Waterton in the northern part of Glacier. It just says scramble with rock band. It says with exposure. And what exposure means in this context is
If you slip, you die.
You are dead.
Yeah.
There's just no chance.
Hmm.
So some of the other things, like if you fall, you could die, depending on how you fall. But these sorts of things are guaranteed. The same sort of thing with that first part of the tough part of Crip Lake Trail, where you go unassisted on a ledge, and then you go up the ladder. That's exposure. That's on the map too. It's not in the scramble book, but it's nothing that really qualifies as a scramble. Last time when Polly went up 2 years ago, I didn't even try that part. Tried fractured vertebrae. I didn't want to take a chance of getting
You
on
were
that
saying
ladder.
you'd rather go up the other side and go down the other side.
For Acamina.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. I pulled out of Acamina.
Yeah.
But I was talking about Crip Lake.
Oh.
I just stopped at the
Sorry.
creek before you got to the.
Yeah.
But maybe I didn't make it clear.
No, I probably just zoned out for a second.
Anyway, yeah, I got a bit the way up the rock band at Acamina, and I came out on my bum, controlled. Like I would not recommend coming out the counterclockwise on that trail, trying to stand up. You're going to end up doing a face plant. And the farther up you are, the worse it's going to be.
So as it turns out, today this is a salad topping. And apparently a good one.
It's tasty. You can see I
just
want to
having some
launch
fun.
into it. But
So
I should be
Velvet
talking
Underground.
about Velvet
I
Underground.
know.
See, like, Pauline's
I
trying to
got
avoid
him-
even talking
I know.
about.
I just can't stand it. I should just go away because I don't like it. Okay, so you have 17 minutes to talk about it. Enjoy.
So there's a laudatory, kind of like review, extensive review by Creel, is that how you say it? I've been reading it for on and off, more off, for it seems like 50 years now. I used to get Rolling Stone almost religiously. It never was quite like a religion to me. And it's laudatory about the film, and then laudatory about, I guess, the first album, Velvet Underground album, maybe the second one too. Marcus actually said, I think it's real. And there, by comparison with heroin, the two things that he'd rate the highest seemed, or the best known things, loaded the Velvet Underground's last studio album, Rock and Roll and Sweet Jane are like novelty songs. Okay, cut out the melodrama, the overstatement. Yep. I can recall reading a liner notes for Romane's Big Hits album, saying, "Wow, look carefully at these guys. They're dealing with profound themes." And what I thought was, yeah, and in such a shallow manner. Just because you're dealing with profound themes, teenagers are great at doing that. I was okay at doing that back in my teens. Doesn't mean you're dealing with those themes, i.e. death, whatever, in a profound manner. Heroin. Well, like I've been on opioids. Was my choice. And if knowing what I know, I wouldn't do it again. It was prescribed to me, or they were prescribed to me, called hydromorphone. It still is probably. And I didn't. They started me off at a fairly low level. They were trying to replace OxyContin or one other OxyContin. They were saying OxyContin was going to. I think they thought I was going to be using some sort of painkiller for the rest of my very short life. They were giving me a year and a half to live. So it was 13 years ago. Luckily enough, they were wrong. Anyway, they wanted to extend my life as long as possible. They were giving me 18 months on the outside with treatment. Part of the treatment would be switching me over from OxyContin because they wanted my liver to last as possible. And I think they were talking about the liver. It might have been worried about affecting the kidneys too, and that's the thing with bone marrow cancer, which is what I've still got. That'll, all other things being equal, kill you unless you catch some sort of a secondary infection. Most common secondary infection that takes people off with bone marrow cancer is pneumonia. Because where do you develop your immune system? Bone marrow. You're going to be susceptible to secondary infection. Pneumonia is a stone cold killer. Anyway, they're trying to extend my life, not really save it, extend it. And they've been doing something like more than extending. It seems like saving or something valuable. I don't think 13 years is a long time. I'm with Prospect of Work. So they switched me over to hydromorphone, opioid. I doubt if it's anything like heroin. But maybe it's stronger than opium. I don't know what it's like by comparison with morphine. No, I didn't want to do it, you know. And one doctor said to me, James, do you like pain? I had 5 fractured vertebrae. Guess what? I still do. Do you like pain? Who cares if you get hooked? You're dying. That's when I was turned 18 months. Never used the big T word, turn. That's what I was. Anyway, it put me on nausea. So when you hear Lou Reed singing, when I'm rushing on my run, and I feel like just like Jesus' son. Yeah, maybe heroin has a real kick to it. I don't know. I think it's a kick in the head, puts you to sleep. What's that like? You're always seeing pictures from Keith Richards during the Rolling Stone 72 tour where he's wearing sunglasses. That's because junkies' pupils get dilated. I guess they get more susceptible to light, sunshine or whatever. And he's nodded off, you know. I don't know if I've ever seen one of them nodded off and slobbering down his chin or whatever, but my experience was nausea, more nausea. The world was practically spinning around. It wasn't quite that bad, but it felt like that. It felt lightheaded. Garbage drug, hydromorphone. I presume it's the same way for opium, morphine, heroin, unless you're in absolute agony. I was in pain, you know, I'm going to tell you. I don't love pain, but I value it. In my back, I can handle it. And the pain is actually telling me, don't do that. See how important pain is? Same sort of thing. Like people are going around when a certain plague was really making the rounds. I'm not going to say which one because I don't want Pauline's account to get canceled. Some people seem very sensitive about plagues. But anyway, they're going around saying, we've got to fight fear. You know, I value fear. That's why I pulled the plug on going up, starting up the bad part on Acamina Trail, but Ridge Trail. Fear told me, get out of there. What isn't good is panic. Get the difference? Fear is a 4-letter word, but it's a valuable 4-letter word. Get it straight. You know, they'll also say hate is bad, like prejudicial hate or something like that. It's awful. Stuff like Hitler. But how do you deal with it, Hitler? You gotta hate Hitler. You gotta hate Mussolini. get ready. Some of you fellow travelers, or all you fellow travelers out there, or put it into Russian terms, Sputniks, you've got to hate communism. You don't hate communism, especially Stalinism. There's something desperately wrong, deadly wrong with your moral compass. Going around hating Hitler, another socialist, right? National socialist. And when I was pointing that out to a lefty a while back, he said, socialism isn't socialism, it's international. Internationalism. I'm going, yeah, that's what the commies were. And that ain't much better.
The dog said James gave them treats.
I actually didn't,
Oh, wow.
How much time? 2 minutes or minus 2 minutes?
8.
8 minutes, still left to
you have
go.
a long
So I'm
time.
still talking about stuff that kind of got, well, not really sidelined. Stuff has to be dealt with. And I'm talking about, like how profound is Heroin, that song by the Velvet Underground. And Marcus pointed out they actually made a joke about it in the movie. This movie's ultimately not so much about the Velvet Underground, but it's like heroin. I don't know. I think I wasn't counting, but someone was saying it's featured 4 times in the movie. The last 2 albums of Velvet Underground. Well, if you look at them, they might be better, either one of them, than the first 2 albums, and neither of them are actually that strong. They're individual songs that stand out. There's a lot of Breck actually in Loaded. There's a lot of Breck in the first album. Almost all the second album is Breck. That sounds like John Cale. What is Breck? It's another word, I think. It's a Yiddish word, but it comes from German. It's an old-fashioned word, I think, for poop. The general word in German for poop is Scheiß. Scheiße. Scheiße. Dreck, I think, is an old-fashioned word that made it into English, and that's what it is. A lot of people think, Dreck is like cheesy stuff. Dreck is whatever it is, as far as I'm concerned. It's elevator music, but it's also stupid improvised music that's too loud, too repetitive, too unimaginative, frankly, and ultimately too boring. And there are things like that in the second album, like I've mentioned, Sister Ray. But listen to White Light, White Heat, which is supposed to be some sort of classic, apparently about amphetamines. Never been on amphetamines. I've been on dexamethasone, and that really pumps you up. What is it like? They say something it did it with Patty Duke.
Funny story though about the dexamethasone.
Oh yeah.
I think this was that. Anyway, you were taking way more. It was like 20 times the dose or something. Do you remember? You got
entry dose.
Yeah.
But understand. That was each pill is 20. But I take 10
there
times
was a
that.
time when you were taking way too much of one of your drugs, and you were like, I can't sleep, I'm all amped up, and the doctor asked you how much you were taking at the cancer clinic, and he was trying not to laugh. I was there, because he was like, no, you're supposed to take way less of that at one time or something. I can't remember. It might have been
I
the
don't know.
dexamethasone.
I think maybe they got
And
their
so
signals
he was
crossed.
really amped up because
Okay.
he was taking way too much.
No. I don't know what was happening there. They must have got their signals crossed. Okay. So I don't know how much I would have been taking. I might have been taking them every day or something like that.
Yeah, well, it was kind of funny.
Well,
and I mean nothing harmful, no harmful lasting effects.
Well, that's key, isn't it?
Yes. So
because
whatever.
One ignorant former fellow student who, when I met her after I got the cancer several years. I've been diagnosed as having a serious condition. So I was on dexamethasone, so she said, "Oh, you're bipolar or whatever they use, or manic depressive." Wow. That's stupid enough. She had a PhD, I think, in medical humanities, and then a while later, there were some people around. This is months later. She's saying, you know, like, I'm so good at medical humanities, I actually diagnosed James as being bipolar, manic depressive. It turns out he was on some sort of drug, but boy, did I nail that. And I just ate that. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there thinking,
Yeah, you
you
didn't nail it
didn't
at
even
all.
notice the symptom.
Yeah.
You noticed the side effect that had, I won't say nothing to do with manic depressive stuff, but
Come on, let's go inside then.
what's the key? You know, if you read about the Patty Duke story, she was manic depressive. It was her fall into manic depressive. It was probably more like shooting off into it was caused by just using, I don't think it was a really high dose of steroids. So dexamethasone is basically steroids. So you see, like when this woman was saying, wow, you know, like I diagnosed this guy as manic depressive, it is well known that people using steroids can just, you know, they'd have probably a genetic predisposition towards being manic depressive or bipolar, which I think is the politically correct term, medically correct term. You know, you heard what Pauline's saying. I was overdosing on it, presumably. And I never went manic depressive. I never went bipolar, whatever you want to call it. If I had a tendency towards it, I would have fallen into it. You get the point? If you don't, I don't care. But yeah, so there's entry-level steroids, the dexamethasone that I was taking, each pill 20 times. Sometimes, towards the end of my treatment with dexamethasone, they'd have me taking, I can't remember, was it once a week or something like that? But it would be 5 of those pills at a time. What's 5 times 20? 100 times entry-level dose. That would probably be a topical application of steroids. And but by times they had me on 10 of those at a time. Well, that's 200 times entry-level steroids. And here I am, you know, you notice like I'm not over the top. I'm kind of tough. The poor woman with the medical humanities PhD, she said, I used to see them in hospital and be talking a mile a minute. You know, like when I was on dexamethasone, I could talk a mile a minute. But I'd ask people after that, can you understand what I'm saying? And be saying, you're going fast, but I can understand. What she didn't understand is she would have been seeing people doped to the gills who had manic depressive stuff, doped to the gills to try and slow them down, and she still wouldn't be able to understand what they're saying, be going so fast. Just ignorance. Anyway, yeah, she's the one that I tried to teach Arabic to. 2 hours a week, a year and a half, and after that, she didn't even know the difference between Q and F in the Arabic alphabet. How much time?
16, 15, 14, 13 seconds.
So I'm signing off. Have fun.